All right. Hello and welcome to Punch for Punch, Saturday, July 9th, 2022. Welcome to TV Bakwetu, and this is your man and only Masheke Akashambatwa. On a Saturday evening, I am glad you've decided to join us. Today we have an interesting topic, a hot topic that has been making rounds on social media. And this is no other than the issue of Football Association of Zambia and the debacle with Barbra Banda. And we want to get to the root of what happened. We want to get to the root of where did we go wrong? Whose fault is it? Is it the FAZ or is it CAF? And I'm excited that you guys are joining us. Please share this broadcast and support TV Bakwetu. Ladies and gentlemen, as we always do, I want to take a poll. I want to see where you're watching me from. Let me know where you're watching me from. Are you in Lusaka, Mongu, Sesheke, Livingston, UK, New Zealand, South Africa? Please let me know where you're watching me from, because I have a special guest that's going to discuss with us, a fearless man who has done so much in the football fraternity as an administrator and also a journalist in many respects and ways. Allow me to introduce to you my brother, Oliver Shalala. Welcome, Oliver Shalala.
Thank you for having me, Masheke. I think it's a pleasure. I haven't seen you in a long time. From the last time you were in Zambia, Livingstone, the time we were working together in the youth sector. Good to see you are doing well in the US of A with your family. And I'm so happy you've had to do so much school and inspiring all of us back here. And also thanks for inviting me on this show so that we can have an honest chat about women's football, Barbra Banda, Football Association of Zambia, and the rest.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. Yes, some of you that may not know, Washalala is not a stranger to me. We really did some amazing work together in the youth work in Zambia. And so we just don't know each other on Facebook. We actually are colleagues in person too, and friends, very good friends. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, there was an issue, ongoing issue, if I may put it that way. There has been a situation where, the Football Association of Zambia had left out Barbra Banda and the several two other players, from participating at the Confederation African Football Tournament, and that raised a lot of social media outbursts, and the story went viral. Oliver Shalala, would you please just give us an overview of really what happened?
Okay, I have to say, I'm not speaking on behalf of the Football Association of Zambia, and whatever views I'm going to make on this show shall be my personal views. Let me also make mention that I'm a football administrator and actually currently a club owner of a women's football club. So also the views I'll make will not be for my club. I'll be speaking in my personal capacity as Oliver Shalala, a women's football supporter and administrator. Yeah, right. So in terms of the Africa Cup of Nations, I think we all know that there's been an issue where when the list was released of the final team for Zambia, Barbra Banda was missing, and yet she was actually in Morocco at the time. and then meaning that she was not able to play for the games that are going on. We are playing in the next 1 hour against Togo in our last group game, having already qualified for the quarterfinals. So she's not going to play in that game, but I think there's been also moves in the background to try and get her to play with others. But in a nutshell, what happened was the Football Association of Zambia was given guidelines in who could qualify and who could not qualify in terms of participation. Obviously, this is an open age group, meaning that any age player can play in terms of age. Gender-wise, obviously, it's a women's league, women's championship. Sorry, the Africa Cup of Nations for women is now called Women Africa Cup of Nations, and women like Barbara Banda obviously qualify. But then we heard of new rules being introduced by the Confederation of African Football, in which they were asking the confederation, or rather the federations in each country, to test their players in terms of medicals, and then those that did not meet minimum benchmarks were supposed to be left out. So when that was done and tests were administered on our players, then the Football Association of Zambia had no choice, following the benchmarks given, to leave out certain number of players. And I think the three prominent ones who are being mentioned by a lot of people is Rachel Nachula, who plays in Spain, Rachel Kundananji, who also plays in Spain, and Barbara Banda, who has been playing in China, but is on her way to Spain as well. Those three are the prominent ones who were left out. But suffice to say, Rachel Nachula didn't even travel to the Olympics. I think she was injured at the time. So she's been a bit out of the national team, and possibly she may not have made it anyway. So I think for Rachel Nachula, it's only speculation. If we suggest that she was left out because of any medical test, I think that would be guesswork or speculation. I think we don't know. Maybe she just didn't make the cut. For Rachel Kundananji, she was left at the last minute. I think she had joined camp like a week before the national team traveled, because she arrived from Spain like a bit late. Remember that the leagues were still on. So the Zambian league had ended. Zambian players had gone into camp. I mean, Zambian-based players had gone into camp. Rachel Kundananji arrived a bit later. She was given a bit of a holiday. Then when she joined, eventually she was left out. I think a statement was issued by the Football Association of Zambia. They chose not to be categorical at the time. And I think Rachel Kundananji even came out in the press to be not happy with her not being selected. I think she was very categorical, saying she was not happy. She was not given a proper reason. I must mention that at that point, I did indicate to a number of administrators at Football Association of Zambia, FAZ, that I felt that they had mishandled the way information came out at the time. So I think a trick was missed at the time the first team was being announced. I think PR should have been done in a better way. There should have been a bit more information given out as to explain why Rachel had been left, and then why Barbara, who had been carried, was left out. So I think, in a nutshell, that's what happened. Because of that, then we had a lot of uproar, both within Zambia and outside. Now, you have to understand that Barbara Banda is not an average player. She's arguably the best African player in terms of women. The current African Player of the Year is Ashola Asisita from Nigeria, who plays for Barcelona. But I can bet you that when Barbara goes to Spain this year, she's definitely going to beat Asisita in terms of being the best player. So you're talking about arguably the best African footballer female having been left out of the Africa Cup. So people having seen what she did at the Olympics, scoring 2 hat-tricks, 3 goals in 2 consecutive games, something never been done before, not even by a man in the Olympics, having seen that she did so well, and then she's not at the Africa Cup. People were not happy, and I can understand. But obviously there's more to it than what people think.
Right, right. I'm very, very happy for that overview. So as a follow-up, um, just also speaking as an administrator in the Zambian football family, where did we drop the ball? I mean, where did FAZ drop the ball? I mean, I know you've mentioned about um, uh, them dropping the ball at communication when this came out, but at the very beginning, when those rules came down from CAF to FAZ, wasn't it the role of FAS for them to make sure they verify and re-verify and make sure that what they're doing is actually consistent with not just CAF rules, but also FIFA rules?
In terms of CAF rules versus FIFA rules, for tournaments or leagues, the federation or confederation decides what rules are going to be followed and what qualifications are going to be followed. For example, if you have under 17 Africa Cup qualifiers, they will say maybe players born 21st January to of this year to maybe June of that year, because they are looking at when the tournament will be held, and
Mhm.
because of that, they want only those players who qualified during the tournament period to be allowed to participate. And then you find that the same year, when you're doing under 17 World Cup qualifiers, the years change in terms of FIFA. So depending on which tournament you are playing, we follow
Mhm.
whose rules are applying. So in this case, being an African tournament, the rules that
Mhm.
apply are those for CAF. I
Okay.
think where the problem is that CAF seems to have jumped and decided to be used like guinea pigs, where we want to try these medical guidelines, which are not yet being applied by any other confederation
Mm.
or leagues, because the same players that are being deemed ineligible to play in this Africa Cup are currently eligible to play even in European leagues, and they could play if there was a FIFA uh, competition like World Cup. Suffice to say, if and it's not even an if actually. When Zambia beats Togo today, we are playing Senegal,
Yes.
and I can hazard a guess that we'll actually beat Senegal. So and we'll make it to the World Cup having beaten Senegal. So meaning if rules stay the way they
Mhm.
are, Barbara is able to play at the World Cup because those medical guidelines given out do not apply. So she's able to play even without any new interventions like what is going on in the background right now. So
Yes.
the rules for CAF are the ones we follow. But
Mhm.
yes, like you say, the rules were issued a few months ago. I
Right.
think FAZ did not communicate to the fans. I would understand. I have to make mention that I sit on privileged information. I get in touch with a number of administrators at FIFA. I get in touch with a number of like players. So there's
Mhm.
information that I have which I may not mention because of the
Mhm.
duty of care as
Right.
well as due diligence on my part. But
Mhm.
generally, information was given. First, decided not to issue out information as it were, and then decided to at least wait and do things in the background. So they were aware about these rules probably 7 or 8, 9 months ago. Let me make mention also that many people may not have mentioned, may not have noticed that actually Barbara did not play a single of the qualifiers that Zambia played prior to the Africa Cup.
Right.
So because of yeah, so because of a number of reasons, because FAST did not announce, we do not know whether she did not play because of medical reasons or it could have been another reason. But she did not
Right.
play. So the team that is playing currently at the Africa Cup is the one that played the qualifiers, and Barbara was not part of it.
Mm. Thank you, Mr. Shalala, for those answers. If you're just joining us, I see that our followers are here and they're listening. And please share this video because, as you know, we bring you the best here, and we have one of the seasoned Mr. Oliver Shalala. I want to make a follow up, Oliver, on the issue again of FAZ. If no one was applying those rules, and I know you're not speaking for FAZ, but just as an expert, when they got those requirements from CAF, wouldn't do they have some kind of a general council actually advise them and say, look, let's make sure we check these versus FIFA rules, and also that those CAF rules that they're bringing down, medical rules, are aligning with other rules that have to do with discrimination based on gender, race, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think Kennedy Gondwe, in one of his postings today, was not happy with Football Association of Zambia for not having protested against these rules when they came out 7, 8, 9 months ago. I don't know exactly when exactly they came out. I think I will side with Kennedy on that one. But also, I understand because sometimes, most of the times when the rules come, there's that acceptance phase. Maybe you don't see where this will land us. But I can assure you that if I was going to be somebody who's very suspicious, I would think that there's somebody within maybe CAF or within Africa who was in that committee who knew that if we put in this rule, it may affect countries like Zambia. So there's a possibility somebody malicious somewhere may have come up with these rules and they would have affected Zambia more than many other countries. So I feel
it looks like it's a trend. It looks like it's a trend because I remember under the men's team under Hevrenar. Hevrenar had you remember we just won the Africa Cup of Nations, and Zambia was supposed to be the one to represent Africa at is it
Confederations Cup.
Confederation
FIFA
of
Confederations Cup.
Right. And for some reason, rules were changed to an extent that Zambia was not the one that went and represented, but was it Ghana? Or I don't know which other country from West Africa.
They said Zambia will not represent. We have to wait for the next champion, which was 2013.
Next champion,
yes, and then
Hevrenar
So
had
in terms of rules, just to pick it up, obviously politics comes in. We have to understand Masheke football is a lot of money. Zambia was beaten by Ghana in the under 20 a few months ago, and the Ghanaians used very odd players in the under 20, and eventually they've been kicked out of the World Cup after qualifying simply because they used overage players. Now, why would Ghana do that? It's because it's big money. You go to the World Cup, you qualify, probably you get $1 million US for qualifying, and $1 million US is going to change a lot of things, and the administrators may even pocket some of that money. So football is a big business. So anybody who use any tricks that they can use to knock out the opponent, I have no doubt that there's a possibility this kind of guidelines may have been done to target countries like Zambia. But I will also understand why FAZ may not have protested at the time, because normally when the rules are given to you, you really don't immediately start on your own to protest when everybody else hasn't protested. So there isn't a record of any other nation out of the 54 countries in Africa that did protest against the rules. But I think when there's been an uproar during this Africa Cup, we've seen now FAZ going to protest, and they are working in the background to try and overturn this. But also, it may be because of new information that came. I don't think FAZ may have known at the time that FIFA was not aware of this, and FIFA was not supporting this. Further still, that the executive committee of CAF was not aware, because the president categorically said he was not aware of the rules. Now, this means this could have been done by the Games Organizing Committee or the Medical Committee or any other of those committees. And it's sensible that a committee may do something and then the board chair himself, Mr. Mosepe, does not know. But in a nutshell, the fact that it's not a decision that everybody within CAF and in FIFA supports is not very popular. And to rob this tournament of one of its biggest stars is a travesty. We needed Barbara to play.
So do you think Mr. Kamanga did, at the very beginning of this issue, did push to make sure that it's resolved timely? Do you think he did enough? Because a lot of people, as you have seen and you've read, you've seen online, a lot of commentators, analysts, and soccer pundits were calling for his head on the chopping board. And a lot of them began, as usual, calling for his resignation.
Yeah, Mr. Kamanga is a touchy topic. Like I said, I'm not speaking for FAZ, and I'm not speaking for Mr. Kamanga either.
Yes.
I've been a FAZ counselor for many years. Actually, I was first, the first time I was a FAZ counselor is when I was running a five-a-side futsal team called Black Boys around 2005, 2003. So I've been in football, supporting football and paying for players for a long time. And one of the players I was supporting back in 2005 actually went on to break a Guinness Book of record in Norway as a goalkeeper for playing a game for more than 24 hours, which is in the Guinness Book of Records as we speak. Something I'm proud of. Yeah, so I've been in football circles for a long time. So interestingly, the Kamanga issue, we have to package it. We have to look at it properly. Unfortunately for the Zambian fraternity, we are in silos. We have the Kamanga group, we have the Kalusha group, then we have the rest. Okay? At various times, I've been in all three. Okay, I must say I'm very close to Kalusha. Many people don't know. When I used to be senior editor at the Post, and you recall that Kalusha used to get very good coverage at the Post, and one of the reasons is because of the two Olivers who were at the Post, Oliver Senga and Oliver Speaking. So I'm one of the few people that can call Mr. Kalusha or the wife, and I'm able to get news from him. Similarly, I'm close to Mr. Kamanga, and I'm able to speak to him almost anytime I feel like. But you know me from way back. I've never been one to shy away from making my point. If I'm not happy with Mr. Kamanga, I'll tell him there and then. If I'm not happy with Mr. Kalusha, I'll say there and then. So let me say that to go back to Kamanga must go because of Barbara. It's just an excuse. People want Mr. Kamanga to go anyway. So they want Mr. Kamanga to go. Even if Zambia qualifies to the World Cup right now, they will still say Kamanga must go. So yes, I think FAZ could have done better on this Barbara Banda issue. I think FAZ could have done better, but I also understand one of the reasons why FAZ did not come out categorical and just say the problem is this, the problem is that, is because most of these things have to do with medical issues and ethics come in. You cannot stand up and talk about somebody's medical records unless they themselves gave you consent or they themselves decided to go out and speak about it. So, which Barbara has not done, which Kundananja has not done. So I don't think anybody has got the right to speak about the records of... I've heard people talk about, no, the reason Barbara is not playing is because she's pregnant. Barbara is not pregnant. I'm in touch with Barbara. So I know Barbara is, she's capable of being pregnant. She's a woman. She's a full-time woman. There's no doubt about Barbara being a woman or this. No, Barbara is a woman. She can get pregnant, but she chooses not to because she's a professional. Barbara makes a lot of money. For those who may not know, Barbara makes as much as $7,000 a month when she was playing in China. I don't know how much she'll make in Spain. I can hazard she'll be getting maybe $10,000 a month. That's way more than what maybe even a minister or even President Hakainde Hichilema makes as official salary. Barbara makes twice that. So is Barbara going to get pregnant and miss out on that when she knows that football is a periodical career that you have to play for a few years and then when it's done you're out? No, she's not going to get pregnant. So I think the pregnancy issue was because one of the national team players is actually pregnant and she was not able to go. But please, guys, we are dealing with women. These are women. They've got families. Some are married. Those who are in at Africa, some of them are wives with children at home. So once in a while, one of them will get pregnant. But I know as far as Barbara is concerned, she's not pregnant. Two, I've heard rumors about people saying Barbara's testosterone levels are high, that kind of thing. Please, none of us has reviewed records, so let's respect. Barbara is a very big star. Barbara is an icon. I think when it comes to football, maybe the only alive players that may be bigger than Barbara could be just Kalusha and maybe Christopher Katongo. But if I was a guessing man, I would put Barbara ahead of Christopher Katonga and only behind Kalusha. In terms of brand, definitely Barbara is ahead of Christopher Katonga. So she's not a person that we should just stand up and be talking about this and that kind of thing. I've seen the hate that comes. Some of them are doing it out of malice to hate the young girl. She's a very humble girl. She's a very humble girl. I can call Barbara.
Right. I would love to believe that a lot of Zambians stood up for Barbara, and I think I've seen more love towards her and trying to bring this, and that's where the premise of my question was, because the question of whether
what were they standing up for? What is it that Barbara needed and which?
Right. Well, I think the issue was what I was impressed about was a lot of Zambians came out and said, no, we got to have Barbara play. At the time that even FAZ itself was not even whether, and I'm speculating here, we're not even looking at the issue themselves. It would appear that FAZ was quiet. It would appear that FAZ was actually not intervening until the Zambian people realized, no, there's no Barbara at the competition. What's going on? And information started coming out slowly. People began to pick it up, and these big social media pages picked it up and broadcasted it. It was out of that FAZ was quickly forced to issue the very first statement that they did. And so my thing is it a lack of coordination at FAZ? Is it lack of communication? Or is it they didn't want this information to come? They wanted it to just keep on going without even providing some kind of information to the Zambian people why Barbara and their teammates are not at the. So there's a lot of questions around FAZ and why their response was so lukewarm. What do you say to that?
Okay, let me first make mention that Barbara is, as we speak, Barbara is is in Morocco with the national team at the Africa Cup. She traveled.
Okay.
So yes, so when she did not travel when people made noise, no, she went much earlier than people before the time people were speaking. And Ian Simkoko is saying those speculations are a result of failure by FAZ to communicate to the Zambians. Yes and no. I agree, Ian, that because FAZ did not come categorical out, then speculations went out. Some people abused the speculation to try and push personal agendas. Agreed, but then again, FAZ also had to respect the privacy of the players. Now, remember, these players eat from football. So the things you say, the things you write on Facebook are things people can search. So assuming somebody is a scout is trying to recruit Barbara, and then they go online and they find Barbara is pregnant because certain person has said Barbara is pregnant. Are you sure you won't affect their livelihood and the viability to get a new contract? So yes, speculations are out there because FAZ did not come out categorical, but then they also chose to go the path of being careful because they had to protect the integrity of the player. They had to do things in the background until the player came out. Now, you mentioned that Zambians came out in large numbers to support Barbara and to be there, but Barbara is not complaining. I don't remember Barbara coming out to say Barbara is not happy that she's not playing. That's a fact, but she knows that whatever was happening in the background. But she traveled with the team. Now, FAZ, through Mr. Kamanga, stated that they took some action. They took some remedy or or interventions that they were hoping by the time the games kick off would have worked. I don't know what those interventions are. But Mr. Kamanga mentioned that they had taken steps to make sure that Barbara could play, and they took those steps, but those steps did not work out. Now, we don't know exactly what medical steps were taken, but according to Mr. Kamanga, that was done when uh, before the team even left. So there were attempts to actually get Barbara into compliance and all that when it's part of FAZ. So because they did not communicate that at the time, players are not happy. Sorry, supporters are not happy. Narina 21, you are saying her issue is similar to South African athlete Caster Semenya. No, it's not similar because with Caster, we know it was a testosterone issue, and there was gender verification. The issue was there was actually an issue of gender verification. Barbara, there's no gender verification involved. Barbara is a woman. She's 100% woman, and we all know she's woman. So there's no gender verification. So the two cases differ by far. Until we get the exact reasons why that may not have happened, we won't know. But suffice to say, I think people are fighting the wrong battles. What we should have been fighting for is supporting FAZ in their petition against CAF, and also petitioning to FIFA to allow these girls back in the competition. There's going to be a battle, even if FIFA and CAF say let them play. There may be a technical knockout to say you didn't register them, and because of that you won't allow them. But that will be double jeopardy. So I'm hoping the powers that be may sit in good time and then be able to make a decision. But suffice to say, a number of people who are in touch with CAF officials and FIFA have been able to report that FAZ has actually been doing a lot in the background. But because they did not come out, it's going to injure them. I understand. And basically, I'm just happy that for the first time, Zambians care about women's football. Some of us who've been in women's football for a long time have been crying for a time when people would see what we saw. Because there's no joy in the men's football. There's nothing that excites me. Remember, I used to be CEO for Lusaka Dynamos, the men's team. At the time, we were arguably the best team in the country. We even won the ABSA Cup. Okay, then at some point, I saw future in the women's football, and I went to the women's football side, and I have no regrets. The player that scored the free kick in the last game, who also won the penalty, is my player from Lusaka Dynamos. But we are happy now that people are able to speak freely, supporting the women. We hope that is sustained and it will translate into actual support for women in terms of finances and all that.
Right. Do you know?
And Boniface is asking, he's saying, but FAZ just petitioned after people complained. I don't think FAZ petition. Okay, I'm thinking, you see, I'm competent enough to be a FAZ president. I'm also competent enough to be a FAZ secretary general. And I'm sure one day I'll be either a FAZ president or a FAZ secretary general. I have no doubt I'll be one of those one day. Unless my boss, HH, makes me a minister, then I'll have no time for FAZ. But I think I'll be a FAZ president or a secretary general one day. Now, thinking if I was a FAZ president or a secretary general and I had to petition, I don't think I would have been moved by the messages that people were making and all the noise. I would have been moved more by the admission by the CAF president that he was not aware. And also I'd have been moved more by the FIFA position that they were not happy that Barbara was not at the games. So those two, I think, they are overwhelming factors in making FAZ go out and make the petition. But even more importantly, the desire by Barbara to be at the games. She's been fighting in the background. People have got no idea what this young lady had to do. She did so much. She did a lot. She used the money to try and make herself available and things like that. So for those who have no idea about how much effort Barbara herself put, I have to appreciate Barbara's manager, Aaron Mwanga. Those who don't know, Aaron Mwanga Jr. is the CEO for Zamfoot. Aaron did a lot to try and get Barbara in, following the rules. So Aaron himself, Mr. Kashala, who's the Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, Mr. Joseph Chimpampwe, and so many others did quite a lot in the background.
Right.
Unfortunately, history has got a way of recording itself, and it will not record those guys as having done a lot simply because they cannot come out and speak and say what they've done for the sake of respecting the young lady Barbara.
Right. Right.
Uh,
A
and
follow-up,
um,
Mr. Shalala, just before you go to the next point, is a lot of people are asking, does FAZ have an effective communications manager or team? Since Eric Mwanza left, it would appear that that FAZ has never had a very well coordinated, press or communications team. Is that something that maybe Mr. Kamanga can work on to improve communication with the public?
I have no actually when you see I took a role of unpacking the Kamanga and Kalusha debacle, if you remember, prior to the
Yes,
elections, and I invested
yes, you
so
did.
much time writing, trying to elucidate things for Zambians and doing so much. I've been doing that for years. You and me, Aka, we used to do this like even when we were kids.
Yes,
So we
yes,
like
yes.
unpacking things for people. You called me here because you wanted us to unpack this. So I've done this like
Right.
for years, years and years. So
Mm-hmm.
when Kamanga won, many people thought I was doing it because I wanted a job at FAZ, and people were so sure that I was going to be the communications manager at FAZ because Nkweto resigned.
Mm-hmm.
I had no interest of being a spokesperson for FAZ at the time. Even now, I've got no interest because I feel I'm supposed to be doing something different.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, I had faith in Sydney Mangala, who was Kweto's junior and who is now the communications manager of FAZ.
Mm-hmm.
The communications team of FAZ, Sydney and Mike Mubanga, who's currently with the women's team, is a very seasoned team. People who don't blow their trumpets. Sydney used to be at the Post newspaper before I even went to the Post newspaper. So he's a very seasoned journalist. Mike
Mm-hmm.
Mwanga, who's Sydney's deputy and who does the digital content most of the time, used to be at Movie TV, and he's done a lot. You've seen that FAZ now has got a YouTube channel where videos are posted and so
Mm-hmm.
on and so forth. A lot of things are done. Now, in terms of communication, when people say that communication at FAZ is weak, blah, 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 what they mean is propaganda at FAZ is weak. And I agree. I think during the time of Eric Mwanza, propaganda was very, very high, and the communications team was very much political, and it was
Right.
in propaganda and all that. But I think the current team has decided not to go the propaganda way, but to go the corporate communications way. So those that are more interested in the politics side will find it quite weak and will not be happy. But those who are looking for content and information and elucidation, they will find this team much more effective. There's more, you get the lineups in good time, you get the numbers in good time, you get pictures in good time. It was not like that before. It's
Mm-hmm.
not my duty to defend Sydney. He's got his own platform that should be able to do that. I think they've tried, but there's a bigger elephant in the room, which is that as long as Kamanga is in the football house, there's one silo that doesn't want him. Then,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
long as,
yeah,
yes. So for me, I've always appealed to those who don't want Kamanga to let him finish his term
yeah.
because he won it fair and square. People were scared to stand against the man, and he won it fair and square. So let him
Mm-hmm.
finish his term. But I've been open, despite having voted for Kamanga, despite having supported Kamanga, despite still supporting him today. I've always mentioned that for me, I believe when his term is ended, he should give way to newer people. And
Mm-hmm.
those newer people don't include Kamanga and Kalusha. No. For me, as a nation, we need to move beyond Kamanga and Kalusha. I'm 46 now. I wish I would be standing in the next elections, but I've got a bigger election to prepare for, which
Yes,
is
yes.
Hakainde Chilema's 2026 election. That's where
Yes.
I'll put most of my energy. I would have loved to be a president of FAZ. I know I'm very capable. I could
Mm-hmm.
have done it, but I still feel
And that's
whoever
what I
will come
wanted to
should.
ask you. I said they should have considered hiring someone who can do PR on issues of regulations and rules And I know that they're doing a great job in giving out information about teams and giving out, graphics and videos and so on and so forth, which is a good thing. But when you have a crisis anywhere in the world, I mean, it's not just in football, but every sector of the economy, or sectors of business, when there is a crisis, the media team is the first one to actually plan how they're going to handle the media questions that will come, the public interest questions that will come. And I think on that note, I think that, and a lot of people think that Kamanga's team should have actually swung into action, especially the communications team, and provided some form of explanation immediately that happened. They knew ahead of time that Barbra is not going to go, and other team members were not going to go, and they were going to be left behind. After all, they were the ones choosing the team, and so they could have immediately, preemptively provided a statement or go live and explain, this is what's happening. If you don't see Barbra at the competition, these are the regulations we got from CAF. And so I think on that point, I think that people have a point, and you do agree that
Yes,
people have a point.
yes, I did agree at the very beginning that I'm on record. I told Mr. Kamanga privately. I'm sorry, I have to mention it, but I told Mr. Kamanga privately. I spoke to Mr. Kashala privately. I spoke to Sydney privately. At the time, I did feel as well that it was mishandled. I even spoke to the coach, Mr. Bruce Mark, but I can't talk about private conversations that I have. I'm just trying to say that I agree that at the time it could have been handled better, but we are past it could have been handled better. I think, yes, for me, the takeaways are that first and foremost, it's important that we support the team more than we are complaining. The problem is we have put too much focus on Barbra. We've diverted the attention to the young. We are not giving attention to the young. No one is talking about this team has got a lot of youngsters who've never been to any tournament. For example, my player Xiomara Mapepa, who I mentioned earlier, who was such a star in the last tournament, is from the under-20. This is the first time she's going for a tournament with the national team. She's never been, but there she was at the world stage doing so wonders, and she's destined to go for a professional stint in Sweden. She's going for trials soon after this tournament. In the same team, there was Susan Katongo from ZISD, who is straight from Leandro Foundation in Kanyama. She's a kid. She's just coming from the under-20s as well. She was at the Olympics where she played for 30 minutes only in the last game, a dead rubber by then. She's now playing in a first full tournament. These kids did not play the COSAFA tournament last year because they were playing qualifiers for under-20. They missed.
Right.
This is the first time. Nobody's highlighting all that because we have all diverted the attention towards Barbra's issue.
Right.
We have, yes, we have, for example, the team that went to the 2013 Costa Rica World Cup. I think there's only Irene Lungu, who's playing number 6, as well as Grace Chanda in that, who went to that tournament, and maybe Misozi Zulu as well. But the rest of the players are new players. Avos Tundu scored. Lucio Mo at the back had not even been playing with Green Buffaloes. He only joined like 2-3 years ago. And then some other players, Musesa, Hezel was there. So there's only about 3 or 4, including Anita Mlenga, who's on the bench, who went to that tournament. Most of them are new. But we are not talking about them. We are not celebrating the success simply because we've put the Barbra issue and the Kamanga issue in front. We are not even looking at, this is the first time we are going to get into the quarterfinals and so on and so forth. So for me, I feel, yes, the trick was missed. FAZ could have done better. Is the communication team bad? No, I think they are good. Why don't they come out with propaganda to counter these things? We can't know the working conditions. Probably the leadership style of Mr. Kashala and Mr. Kamanga is such that we don't come out categorically and fight everything fire with fire and so on and so forth. That's that. Part whether you can't compare Mapepa and Barbra, that one is a machine. Nobody's comparing Mapepa and Barbra. I think I've said clearly that Barbra is arguably the best female African player at the moment. In case you don't know, Mapepa grew up watching Barbra, and she wears number 11 in honor of Barbra, and she models a game around Barbra. Nobody's going to compare. Barbra is a legend. Barbra is an icon. Mapepa is just starting out. So we are not in any way comparing the two.
Right.
Yeah, so that's that, Masheke. I feel we have lost a trick somewhere. We are not appreciating the team because of this debate. I think the best we should do is support the team. Yes, Mr. Kamanga has not done very well. Let's leave him to finish his term. Let people who want to take over from FAZ start coming up with programs. I think the younger generation should be more interested. My age mates should be the ones. We have good leaders like Lombe Mbalashi. We have people like Bex Chinyemba. We have Levi Mseteka. We have so many of the young guys who can lead FAZ. Godfrey Chikumbi wants to go for it. I'm happy for him. He's my young man. You see, me and Masheke, I've got friends in the Karusha.
Godfrey Chikumbi
is my big brother. Braji is my friend. Kalusha himself is my friend. Morini in South Africa, she hates me, but I like her very much.
Godfrey Chikumbi, I need him on this program because me and him, we couldn't see eye to eye because
okay, I'm going to call him and I'm going to call him. I'm going to command him as big brother to appear on this show next Saturday or any Saturday you want him. I can guarantee that you'll be here.
You'll be here.
Yes.
He's one of those that we really debated fiercely during the Kamanga Kalusha debacle and elections, and he was very passionate about supporting Mr. Kalusha. But I'm glad that he's stayed with the football family at the at the national level and is still in the business of football. Let me pivot a little bit here before I know you have a game to watch and I want to watch it as well. Let me just, as we are almost coming to an end of this program, I want to ask you, would you reconsider? I know you've talked about, helping His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema in 2026, but would you reconsider if we were called to save the nation at Football House?
To save as what?
Any portfolio, president, vice president, secretary general.
I've never been a proud man. I've never been proud. I've never been too rich for anything. Anytime that I'm needed to do something, I've done. When I took up the role, right now I'm corporate affairs manager for Mwembeshi. We fought the debate on the Lower Zambezi mine. It was quite hot. I think it died. We did a good job. We deserve a pat on the back, I think. But when I was asked to do that, I took it. Every time I stand up to do something, I do it with all my heart. So I'm in women's football now, and there's no money we make. Let me make mention that when I came up with Saka Dynamos ladies, we are changing the name now from Saka Dynamos. It might be the Elite Ladies Football Club, or we are still negotiating with sponsors, so we'll announce very soon. I put in the first year about 490,000 thousand kwacha. In the past season, we spent a lot more than 700,000 kwacha with my wife, just to keep the team going. Right now, I'm looking at people to come in. So when I go into something, I put in everything. So would I reconsider saving FAZ? Yes and no. First and foremost, the most important thing for me is to deliver HH in 2026. So as a praise singer, a very proud praise singer, and I'm not looking for a job. Nobody's going to see me working for the government of the Republic of Zambia. It's not happening. Those who think I support the man because I'm getting a job. No, I don't work like that. I'm not desperate. I've never been desperate. When I was young, as young as 21 years, remember, I used to fly around this world. I've been to 49 countries. Yeah, I've always fed myself. I've never needed a job. So I'm not supporting HH because I need a job. It's the same way I supported Kamanga. It's not because I needed a job. So I've never. Right. So if I'm going to go into FAZ, I can only go into FAZ if I'll make a difference. If I'm called, for example, a new president comes, wants me to be Secretary General, I'll evaluate if I'm going to have the time to do it. And then if I won't have the time, I won't do it because I don't do half-baked things. Yeah. So I'll
Yeah.
evaluate. Standing as president, I'm still young. I'm 46. I
Yes.
can try
Yes.
maybe in 8 years' time or something like that.
Yes.
So there's still
Yes.
time. There's
There's
no
still time.
panicking. But the next elections, definitely, I'm not going to go for president. But you might see me being campaign manager for somebody. I'm sure.
For somebody.
I
Yes.
like communication. I might be. But yes, I'll say fast in any role. Right
Right.
now, I'm trying to help women's football move. Yeah, that's my passion for now.
You're doing a great job. You really are doing a great job, and I know
Thank
that you're
you.
passionate. You're passionate about everything you do. We've been like that since the youth movement time, and the work itself can speak for itself. And I'm very, 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 very glad that you decided to help the women's football come afloat, and I think you guys are doing an amazing job. I want to
No,
take
we
this
appreciate it.
opportunity. Yeah, I want to take this opportunity to thank our viewers, to thank all those that showed up, those that asked questions. Ole, we will never run away from any debate. He will never run away from any issue. He's very straightforward, he's a straight shooter, and that's what he did today. Explain what happened, explain without bias issues pertaining to FAZ and also the suspension or leaving out of some of our key and star players. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give my brother and my good friend Oliver Sharara the few minutes here to just 30 seconds to say his final remarks.
Yeah, so for me, I'll say let's support the girls at the Africa Cup. Let's leave the debate for Barbara for another day. Barbara would have loved to be in this tournament, but she can't be for now. If things change, let's support the girls. But more importantly, all these people are making noise about the women's football. Let's also support the club. Let's support the players. I'm speaking to you, Masheke, Linda Banks, and other guys in the diaspora. I'll be happy if you can get in touch with me and see how best we can support the women's football for the next players to get there. It's not very easy, it's not cheap, but it's tough, but with a lot of passion, we can get across the board. So thanks for calling me, TV Wakwetu, and the rest of the team. It's the first time I'm being interviewed as a women's football administrator, so I feel happy. I
Yes.
hope now BBC and others have seen me because of you guys, and
And
I'll be on
they'll pick
BBC.
it up. Yeah, I promise you, they are
Yeah.
watching a lot of. We are beginning to kind of step into that trendsetter mode somehow, and we are trying our best to make sure that we highlight some of the issues and some of the personalities that
Yeah.
a lot of media out there, the mainstream media, may be missing. And so we are glad that you came here. I thank you so much. Please. I don't want to keep you more than necessary because I know there's a game you and I have to watch. I appreciate you, my big brother, for coming. May God bless you and your family.
Yeah, thank you. The girls are actually on the pitch now. I can see on the
Yeah.
TV next to me.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's game time, and we are here at TV Wakwetu discussing issues that affect you. Let's go and watch the game. I appreciate you. Thank you, and have a good evening.